Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance for our September 26, 2016 regular City Council meeting.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, everyone's present. Lynn's out on conference. Approval of the minutes of September 12, 2016. Sorry.
I'll move the minutes.
I have a quick correction. Page 4, there's numeral 2, the first paragraph, the mentioning about the $25 return check fee. I am not mentioned in this paragraph, and I did want to make a note that I was not on board with, ultimately I voted for having that fee removed, but, or to keep the return check fee, but I actually wanted it removed. I made a comment about it. Thanks. That's it.
Anyone else?
Lisa, Lisa, I just wanted to ask, have any changes been made to the minutes that were not put on the record tonight? No. Okay, thank you.
Motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a second?
They're amended. I move them to be, or with the amendment.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Approval of the bills. There are none.
I had a question.
Maggie?
Yes, I didn't know how council wanted to handle this. I did have some questions on the attorney invoices, but they were not related to the dollar amount. They were related to subject matter. So do you want me to do that during the manager's report rather than here?
During council comment?
I'm okay with here.
Yeah.
I'm with that
I think we
too.
did it first last time. I guess we might as well.
Just real quick, Tim, if you could possibly just tell me what is going on with the Charleston Park consent judgment? What is that all about?
We had, this started, it's my understanding this started from a deck request, and it led to questions about what the building department was using for lot coverage, because the lot coverage ordinance in the zoning ordinance, or the lot coverage provision in the zoning ordinance was triggered, and it raised a bigger question because some of the people in city staff aren't familiar with Charleston Park. I've not had to deal with this particular issue, but it required me to find the consent judgment and chase down some details.
Okay. And what is the issue with the Quail Run utility dedication?
It was just I had a meeting at City Hall, and we went through a laundry list of where the status of utility dedications are. I believe there's been some discussions with Quail, is it Quail Run? Quail Run. About their wanting to do the private utility dedications. I've not received anything on that yet.
Okay, got it.
Other than I've seen the master deed.
And then, what was this issue about the temporary occupancy regarding the Salvation Army?
Salvation Army, the property owner, which is it Southline? It's Southline Square. I don't remember exactly whether it's Najor or a different company name. The tenant is Salvation Army, and there was an issue that arose regarding when Salvation Army could take occupancy and possession of the space, and that question arose in the context of when did the special land use conditions have to be completed.
That is exactly my question.
City manager has been advised, she's been dealing with myself and the engineer. Apparently they did some work pulverizing the parking lot this weekend. They've completed some of the painting of the rear of the building and some of those other things. The big one is going to be the parking lot. And the question will be whether they're required to install all the landscaping, curbing, and islands before they get any type of temporary occupancy for Salvation Army. Apparently there's a timing issue for the holiday season. So that's going to be a city manager decision.
Okay, thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Approval of the agenda.
Move the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Public comments. Please state your name.
Good evening, Erica Wilson, Parks and Rec Commission Chairperson. I'm here to ask that the City Council consider placing a moratorium on naming of city assets until you are formally adopt a policy that is brought forward from Parks and Recreation Commission. And that's the reason why I'm here.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
Carl Richards, 390 Lennox. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have some,
Carol, you got to raise the microphone.
okay. Hang on. That won't.
Below
do
you.
it.
Yeah.
Hang on. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Bob. I had a few things I wanted to bring up, and as you know, I'm not unaware of what's going on in town, but before, I like to hit the high points and make positive comments about things. And I want to give all of the council people commendations for all the help all of them gave in our past Pumpkin Fest this weekend. I regret I wasn't able to be at the cleanup as I usually have in the past, but I didn't feel right. Thank all of you. I know all of you participated and did something. Also, I wanted to thank, special thanks to Joe Rizzi. Okay. Councilman, what you did was wonderful. You're a champion of spirit for what you did for the children. Okay, dunk tank. And I was so excited with the little kids watching them. Here they are, toddlers. They can't even throw a ball 3 feet in the air. Okay, and they're jumping around, having a ball, trying to hit the button, and you're in the dunk tank, just saying, "Come on, kids, come on," you know. I thought that was very inspiring and a magic moment for me, anyway, watching that.
Thank you, Carl. I'm surprised you didn't get up there and throw a couple balls. But
No, I probably couldn't hit it anymore either. But
I got Joel 3 times.
yeah, and
oh, did you?
I don't mean to interrupt, but also Mayor Gallus was after me.
Oh, was he?
And I'll have something to say about that later.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got dumped 62 times. That's why I set the
Okay.
record straight.
That and the giant pumpkins, okay, and a few other things were really the highlight for me, okay, what little I can see of all of it, okay. But, I mean, we took pictures of the giant pumpkins. That one was 1,000 pounds plus, you know. That's quite a record. And then they weigh it on this forklift that they towed it around with, you know, on the pallet. That's quite an achievement, I think, in and of itself. Anyway, and I missed the cleanup, so I regret that, but I didn't feel that good. Okay, I want to bring up something that I discussed a little bit last meeting. I wasn't wrong, but I wasn't completely right. I want to make sure I get it correct. Our friends at the South Lyon Woods Community Trailer Park, okay, mobile home community. Okay, I talked to the manager, whose name's Sherry, and she lives here. She rented a new trailer. Their fiscal year goes to the 31st of October, okay? And as of this year, they have brought in 32 new trailers in 2016. And that makes a total of 46 new trailers, counting last year. Okay, that's a much different total than I gave you. Okay, the new asphalt that they put in there this year, and that's just this year, totaled $30,000 130 square feet in 2016, and that did not include the footage from last year, which was a total workup. This was a cap over, 1.5 inch cap over, which is quite commonly done. Anyway, that's correct, absolute correct figures on that. And they're installing a new play area for children, which I brought pictures of. And, oops, that's the wrong picture. This is computer generated, and they're building a ring road around this for children. For, I would assume, baby buggies and strollers and wheelchairs or whatever, that sort of thing, I would suppose. Anyway, they're making that addition to their park area. And I had a more detailed diagram of that. I plan to give that to city manager, but since she isn't here, here's another picture. This is all CG, by the way. I'll be giving this to Mr. Collins, filling in for Lynn, I suppose, tonight.
Actually, no one was assigned to fill in.
Okay, then I go to Mr. Galis, okay? Mayor Galis, that's who they go to. Okay, the next major component I wanted to hit on was the Heinen Engineering Building, right across from Ed Brown's, where they had a wonderful party Saturday night. I was there, so was some of you also. A lady that's the chief vice president of Mrs. Lori Buchanan. I know you can't read this. They have nice cards. And she gave me all the info. They've been there 2 years. I think it's more like 3. He bought the building from Kenny Walkup, which had the pharmacy there before him. Okay, and he had to remodel it. The place, I was never in it, okay, since that. Place is actually beautiful on the inside. They've got all new equipment for everything. They had a wonderful open house. I don't go to many of them. They did the barbecuing outside, hamburgers, hot dogs, apples, whatever you wanted. It was really great, okay? They sell a product called Trane, T-R-A-N-E, heating and air conditioning in that industry. I don't know much about it, but it's home improvement stuff. And this brand of product is all computerized. So the information leads me to believe computerized heat pumps and air conditioning for the whole house. I assume it works for houses and commercial buildings. They have a total of 6 employees. And since 390 was torn down right next to them, okay, they were aware and made aware to go with new electrical underground, which they put in underground electrical out to the street, okay? And that's all been finished recently, plus the paving and the lines. And they also service something called Generac brand of generators. I think that's a brand name of generators, okay? And I don't think they say nothing about selling them, but they service them. Anyway, 6 regular employees. Jeff Heineman is the owner, and he grew up in this town. He's had 20 years of experience. And what they've done to the building, I thought, was magnificent. Just a real plus, in addition to the hound. Plus, they're very well socially connected. They printed up lots of things for the general public. I thought you'd like to know that. Also, just give you a final up here on the running countdown. Since I've talked about this before, July 21st, 2018 is the 150-year anniversary of the town. At this time, it's 663 days and counting down as of tonight. I thought I'd just let you know that in case anybody keeps up on that other than me. Anyway, thank you very much, Council, and I hope I brightened your evening a little bit. Oh, Mr. Mayor, you want this? This goes directly to you.
Thanks, Carl.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Collins.
Thank you, Carl.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, well, business, none. Presentation of the Cultural Arts Commission 3-year plan. Josie. Welcome back.
Hi, folks. Great Pumpkin Fest. I just want to tell you originally that we told the council we would raise $700, from ticket sales at Pumpkin Fest. We raised $750, so there you go. So I was really happy about that, and it was a great experience. Before I start the report tonight, I just want to thank Bob Martin and his crew. There was an issue at our house, and at 10:30 at night, I think we called the city, and they were out there like in 5 minutes. And I cannot thank you enough. You always say your crew is wonderful, but they were splendid, and they were very knowledgeable. And they came out. They came out Monday to dig it up and everything, and to fix things. And I can't say enough good about them. So thanks to you, Bob.
Thank you.
Very cool. Very cool. So I'm assuming you read this, so it's not quite a presentation. If that were true, I would have a PowerPoint and all of that. But I don't know where my stuff is right now at home, so everything is in the garage apparently. So anyway, so I just want to do a quick run through. We are working on all the things that we had talked about before. The disclaimer is important because things change. I've had a couple of commission members that are thinking of stepping back. Eek. And they're wonderful people, and they do a lot of things. And so I'm hoping to curtail that, hopefully. But some of them you have to say, well, yeah, they've done a lot. So we're still working on that. And the funding is all on track. We're doing the granting and things like that. I won't hear until November from the Michigan Humanities Council. I thought it was September, but it's November that we hear because their season is a little bit later. So there's that. The gallery shows we are doing, I just gave you a placard that Ken Mihalik did a fabulous job of doing. And there's a banner or a larger poster outside. And I just hope that anybody that's listening to this would like to send to our website, CAC South Lyon at gmail.com, two images, and there's a form to fill out. There's no entry fee. This is the first year we're doing it, so we want to get the best work that we can for that. So and everybody's kind of excited about that. I've had a few people come in and ask about it. A couple people came to our meetings actually, just to talk about that and what cultures expect and stuff. So I'm excited about that. We've made a lot of liaisons, and we're about to make one more. I went to a presentation. This isn't in the report, but I went to a presentation for the Michigan Council for the Arts and Cultural Affairs. There's a great speaker there who talked about parents of autistic children and differently abled, and how it's very difficult for them to go out and go to things that are arts things. And I thought we could do one night of a gallery where they come, and that would be great. And he gave a lot of ideas about tactile experiences. We're at the beginning of talking about that, so that's something that that would be easy for us to do. I think we'd have to do some planning, but I think that's a great thing. So we're doing that. They specifically talked about how the parents relax when the night is for them, rather than being on this sort of high alert when they're out in public. And I was like, I have friends that are in that situation. I thought, oh yeah, that is true. So we want to do that in a bit. So we're still talking about that. We're still working on volunteers, and we need to do more of that because while we had a great time at the Pumpkin Fest, we had a lot of people in the booth. We didn't get people signing up, so we're going to still do that. We want to have like a volunteer party, and give us 2 hours. We'll change your life. That's kind of our thing, and that's not bad, right? Because the survey said that people weren't sure, and I think the weren't sure comes from it not being specific enough. So we're going to do that, and sort of the social aspect. Like I've never spent time with Linda Robinson, who's one of our members, and we spent a lot of time at Pumpkin Fest, and we had a great time. She was hilarious. And the social aspect of that, I mean, even though I was there like 7 hours or something, I was energized afterwards, and it was really funny because I shouldn't have been, and my back will tell me that I'm not. But other than that, it was a great experience, so we're doing that. We are still looking at the festivals area, and we're going to do a lot of talking to Kathy Swan in terms of that. Our idea is to start small, like maybe just one day of an arts festival, and then do 2, and then figure out what's going on with that. So we're doing all that. I'm running right through this. I want to really pump up the Cultural Arts Commission personnel, and along that line, they haven't heard this yet, but I really want to do a members show. All of the people that are on the commission do some form of art, and I really would like to do that like one day. I mean, that's not in here, but I want to keep them. But also, but one of the things is, if you work on this, you don't get to do art. It's easy for me to be a writer and to still write at night and get up in the morning and write for 2 hours or something like that. It isn't for people who produce visual art and who do environments and who do art design of houses and stuff like that. So I'm working on that. I have a good thing to say, too. Linda Robinson, our newest member, has increased our media presence 304% with traffic to the website. So, yes, Twitter. So hopefully some of those volunteers will be coming from that. The 501c3 might be solved. We're still working with Fine Arts Society to figure that out. We do have a commitment. We have one more step, but we have a commitment that will be in place before the November show. So there's a way to deal with the accounting of the quilt sales and stuff like that. Because it won't just be large quilts. We're asking the people who we choose, it's a juried show, we're asking them to bring smaller things too. Christmas presents, because it's November 14th to December 9th, so it's a really good time for that. And we're going to have an evening on Wednesday where we're going to do human loom, which is, if you think of a pot holder, we're going to have adults holding the sides of strips of material and fifth graders weaving it through, and Channel 19 has agreed to help us film the top of it, and YouTube. And so that's coming up. So we've had a lot of really cool ideas and stuff, and there's been a lot of good energy, so there's that. Anything else? We do want feedback from you. That was one thing that came up at our last meeting. Like, are we on the right track? Are we doing all this stuff? And they don't want it. And, it was that whole thing again. So we would really like that. And I just want to thank Kelly Smith, Tammy Impulitti, Ken Mihalik, who is a fabulous designer, and for our a graphic designer, and Linda Robinson, and also Donna Olson, who's chair of our literature committee, and we're working on that still, and Bob Martin, who has agreed to be chair of the music committee, and and people that have come. Pat Peruski is a quilter who just showed up, and from Ken, and you guys sent her to us. And she has fabulous work, and that's her work that's on that, and we get to promote her. We are thinking, too, if people let us use their images or their art, to give them some sort of percentage. If we sell T-shirts of their work and stuff like that, so that it goes back to the artists, we want to help the artists as well. So we want to get that word out. So it's stuff that we're working on. So what are your questions, if you have any? Maybe you don't.
You mentioned the chair of literature, so what exactly, because that's one of the things I wanted to ask about if you guys were pursuing that, so.
We are. The survey did not show that there was a lot of interest in that, but at the library she said that's true because there's not a lot of it. I mean, they do some of it. And then I talked to MCACA and they said the same thing. They said, well, you have to have things ongoing. So we're still pursuing poetry readings. Linda has an interest in doing slams, she said. Right, and and promoting youth things and stuff like that. So we're still working on that. But it's not in the forefront right now because of the other things that are going on.
Well, that's not a grand population pursuit, perhaps, but the people that are involved and invested in that are passionate about it. So I would think that they'd be pretty avid.
Yeah.
Followers.
Our idea about that is to have perhaps readings at the events, things like that, very short, but to involve that.
So you're solely relegating it to poetry and that aspect of it as opposed to any other literature pursuit?
I want to bring in, in the Sustainable Art Show that's planned, there's a sound art part, and we're doing storytelling as part of that, and so I'm asking sort of famous Michigan writers to do like a 6 or 7 minute like short story kind of thing.
Yeah, that'd be great.
On tape. And then with some themes, and then what happens is the person listens to it, and then if they get an idea, they come back and they tell their story on the tape, and then and then it continues.
Yeah, you
and
kind of made a reference to that.
Yeah, Linda Olson Donna Olson is interested in having the library archive that, and that can be ongoing. The thing that we were thinking about recently is, all the shows that we got for ideas for this year can be shows that go year by year. And that is kind of attractive because then you have traffic that builds. And the sound art one, the sound art idea kind of was tried in Ann Arbor at the Art and Architecture show. And I was part of that. And there were things I would tweak. I'm just saying. They did great. But the things I want to tweak is to have it so you know what the parameters of the story are, the subjects of the story, have that printed out and have people know that ahead of time. So if they think about it, they can hear like the professional and then think about that story for them. And then every time you come throughout the show, someone else has added something. I mean, that's kind of the cool part. And so that's the thing that I'm sort of more interested in. So, I'm basing it a little bit on the Moth program for PBS, NPR.
That was, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because it's extremely popular. And I love that too. Like, I have that in the car and I'm like, it's great. And then I have to get out of the car and do something and I can't find the end of the, anyway. But then I go home and do it. So, yeah.
One more thing that's a reference into your synopsis here.
Sure.
You spoke to the idea that you're concerned about the limitations of revenue generation from the gallery in here, and you thought maybe trying to drive it outside of the city hall. Have you talked to coffee shops or anything like that, maybe to use those as hosts?
Not yet.
Oh, because they seem like a perfect kind of a venue for that.
Well, that's true. We made a commitment, though, to try the shows and to try to work that. We haven't really done a juried show yet. This will be the first juried show to try to generate that revenue, and we have the accounting in place to do it. We haven't done that yet.
I'm not saying
actually.
in lieu of this.
Yeah.
I mean,
in addition?
In addition to this, yes.
Do you have volunteers that you would like to offer us to help with that?
No, I'm just trying to, I just read
asking.
this evening, and so I was just trying to project what might end up being viable alternative locations.
I think we need our own space, absolutely. I mean, if that's going to happen. And we have talked to
we have to deal with
the Shack
too, though.
Yeah, we've talked to the people at the Shack in Milford that run that space. They've been there 20 years. We're like 4. Not at the Shack, but the arts group. No, not the Shack. The Shack's recent. But it took them 20 years to for the Shack to happen. So we're doing things really quickly, I feel. So it's like wow, and that we talked to them about the pros and cons and how they set it up and stuff like that. So we're working on that. Yeah.
And lastly, there was,
sure.
We had touched base on that the mural along the Quantic or the Michigan Seamless Tube bike path trail there.
Right.
With Lynn going out, that seemed to have just kind of de-energized. Has there been any additional?
With Lynn going out? What are you talking about? Lynn going out?
When she was out ill.
Oh, I haven't heard back from them, and I haven't heard from the artist, so I wasn't sure what was going on.
That's
okay. I can contact them again. That's on my email
list.
So,
any additional
speaking of murals, I'm glad you brought that up because there's a gorgeous mural that Tammy and Piletti was instrumental in doing that artists in the area and children worked on at last Pumpkin Fest when I wasn't here, and it's done and it's out here. So we're gonna, as soon as we get the names all typed up and everything, we're gonna have a little ceremony out there that you'll all be informed of. So it's gorgeous. So but those are things that there's money, artists, all of that kind of stuff that's coming up with that. So
well, I'm going to try to reconnect with those folks and see if we might get some movement.
I can do that too.
Again. So okay,
that's not a problem.
Thanks.
Yeah. This weekend was Pumpkin Fest, so I'm just saying. Anyway.
Josie, so the mural that you're just talking about, where's that at right now?
It's in front. It's in City Hall as you come in.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to clarify.
Yeah, I was surprised it was done. They got it done. It was like
I think they delivered at the last council meeting right before.
Yeah. So it's very cool.
Okay.
But we want the list of people that worked on it, the artists and kids
so
and
official
stuff.
dedication. I see what you're saying.
Right.
Also wanted to say, I think it's very nice. Kind of momentum that you've generated because originally when you started they had the art gallery outside and then it seems then you have branched out to having the violins and seascapes and I'm probably getting the name wrong. I apologize.
No, that's right.
Violins and seascapes and now you're doing quilts. So it's not just photography or paintings. You're really branching out. So I'm glad to see that happening.
Well, Art Pitch is a big tent. It really does, and you can bring all of that in. And I think that's something that the community has a lot. Like, I didn't realize how many quilters, I didn't realize how many photographers, and we need an artist directory, but that's later. Anyway, but, there's a lot of people here that do stuff. So.
Yeah, and I know, another thing that I've noticed is that the schools have a big drama program, and
Right.
The dance, my daughter's in dance, and there's
I know.
tons of opportunities. with
Yeah,
that as
Electra
well.
is on this week or something. That's like a really hard thing to launch. I mean, the theater. I mean, I was seeing the. Well, it was in the newspaper, but I was also seeing T-shirts for it, and that's very serious.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So
So just some food for thought. Maybe you were to steer
Yeah.
as well. So, but I think you guys are doing a great job, and I think I'm looking forward to this quilt and fiber show.
me too.
Josie, I have a couple points I just want to kind of
Sure.
highlight. So, in terms of interns, I was thinking for volunteers, maybe get interns. For when I was in school, especially law school, there's always postings for internships at different places. If the Cultural Arts Commission posted with local schools, EMU, Wayne State, there's a huge artistic community in those areas, especially Wayne State and EMU.
Yeah, we
Ann
talked about-
Arbor.
yeah,
And
yeah.
if you're just branching out there, hey,
Right.
you know, just a couple hours a week or a couple hours a month even, just
Right.
give them a quota and this is what we're looking for. Maybe that's an option to try to entice young students to beef up their resume. Hey, come to South Lyon and help us with our Cultural Arts Commission as a volunteer.
Yeah, we have an idea called Down the Street program, and because we're down the street from Ann Arbor.
Ah, nice.
So we're working on that. It's just not ready to launch yet or anything, but the internship idea, yes, absolutely.
Because I'm thinking a free way to try to, you know, hit two birds with one stone. You win in this aspect as the Cultural Arts Commission, they're going to get their volunteers, but at the same time, a student can beef up their resume and get experience
And they
as
need
well.
that, yeah.
And meet local
That's true.
artists and make those networking connections because networking is huge.
Yeah.
So that was just my,
No, that's great.
just a suggestion
That's great.
for trying to find volunteers because I know it's tough.
Yeah, we're looking at EMU and U of M, and I have a lot of connections to U of M, and Tammy has a lot of connections to EMU, and Linda as well. So, yeah, that's one of our.
And I
that's one
still
of our things.
have, I have my counselor connections at Wayne State, so if you need anything, I can
Wayne
also-
State is great in the arts.
Wayne State is fantastic
It is really
with the arts.
fantastic.
Yeah,
I've been involved in
actually-
a couple programs over there, so.
Wayne State actually offered to design my wedding dress. So they have a lot of really cool programs between like fashion designing to graffiti
Yeah.
art. I mean, it's the plethora of art that's going on there is incredible. It's
It is.
really cool.
It really is. It's true.
So, but that's just
We'll
a
be
thought.
talking.
Yeah, if I can help in any way, I'd like to help out. And it's
great.
just not for Wayne State, but I'm sure
No,
any
I know.
school would
Any-
be happy to give volunteers or at least post about it.
Yeah, well, we're an interesting community, and I think that's a good mix. You know, it really kind of is.
We have a lot going on, so I
true.
think it'll be kind of cool. My second point I wanted to make was
Sure.
when I was volunteering at Pumpkin Fest the other day, I thought your booth was so cool, and you guys are working so hard, and you know, just good stuff coming out of Cultural Arts Commission in general. So good job with
Thanks.
Pumpkin Fest. And when I was reading this, I was thinking to myself, in the future, we could have a art festival comparable to Ann Arbor's. Something that big, like it's
I
to
think
me.
so.
I think.
Yeah. I
setting
mean, not
these
as big,
goals-
but I mean, quality-wise, yes,
Quality-wise, absolutely. And we have the
Yeah.
streets to do it. So I think it would be
No.
something, I mean, obviously it's going to take some years to build up, but.
Well, you
set
know what
those
I
goals.
hear? I hear all the time that people can't get into the Ann Arbor Art Fair. I hear that all the time, but artists that I know that are ridiculously great. And it's just because of tradition. There's architecture of getting into it. So that is actually something to think about.
I mean,
yeah.
I think we should aspire to kind of reach that goal. That should be our vision to try to get something similar to that because we could do it. It's just a matter of
Yeah,
time and
absolutely.
planning. So the way that you have things planned out as the Cultural Arts Commission, set those goals high and eventually we'll reach
Mm-hmm.
them. In terms of feedback, I can't speak for everyone on council, but I think by you continuing to give us updates, that's just keeping us in the loop and I appreciate that.
Okay.
So thank you. Thanks to the whole Arts Commission.
That's not hard to do because it changes every meeting. No, I'm not kidding. No, there's just more ideas every meeting, and then it starts to get streamlined. It's really interesting. And it's just such a
We
cool
can
group
see
to
your
work with.
focus. That's
Cool.
what's nice about it. So it's
Oh,
awesome.
thank you.
you.
Thanks.
I agree with Mary on this. I mean, it's like
Oh, cool.
you coming to us and talking to us. Like wasn't so long ago. This didn't really happen. You know what I mean? So
I can talk all the time.
have this
It's all
kind
right.
of conversation about art and culture and all that in the city.
Yeah.
I love art. I love music. I love plants. I love all that.
Yeah.
Everything across the board. Glenn's comment about literature, I think, is fascinating. I think there's some artists out there that do like the one-man show, one-woman show
Mm-hmm.
type thing that might be interested, maybe in a coffee house or something. And somebody like that might be really
Yeah,
cool. But the other
that's-
thing is when we talk about the art show downtown,
Mm-hmm.
the business owners all downtown have been saying this for a long time. They're a little quiet about it at times, but they've been saying they want to have art downtown.
Oh, I know.
They
Yeah,
They want to
I'm
be
more-
able to bring those people downtown. And it always gets talked about, but it never really went anywhere, and it's been that way for quite some time. And I think now we got the right people
Hopefully.
in the right places, and the right conversation is starting to take place all the way across the council table, all the way through the city hall, through the business owners, and then someone like you.
Well,
you
the
know,
whole-
and I
well,
think
thank you.
that's going to be
Well, yeah.
great.
The interesting part, I didn't mention the art, the scavenger hunt for art. But when I was talking to downtown businesses, there's art everywhere in the businesses, and that is going to be a really fun thing. But we realized that we had this idea, we'll promote it during Pumpkin Fest, and then we'll have it the next month, and it was like, no, too much. But the photography show is the right time because we'll have people photograph it and have those up, and they'll have to go find that, and then, of course, we'll have the photograph show. The great thing about the photography show is it's family portraiture. So people can also, on a night, they're going to come in and people can come in and bring their own family portraits, and we can talk about the spatial relations and what it might mean, psychologically and stuff. So that's going to be really an interesting one, too. So.
I don't want to speak for any of the business owners, but Derek has that coffee shop there with that one
I
wall
know.
that's had the train painted partially
Yes.
ever since they opened.
Yeah,
So
well-
if we could convince them to paint that wall for a display wall,
That's
might
true.
be a nice place to display a lot of local artists'
Yeah,
works in
that's
there,
true.
maybe once a month, and then have an artist meeting and all that kind of thing. I think it might be a nice.
We give an art talk.
Yeah.
People kind of like to, when I talk to somebody when I talk to the downtown businesses, and I think you'd be surprised who they were, or maybe not, but a lot of them talked about, they wanted to know more about the art that was up. And that was a really interesting conversation. So the humanities people were really happy about that because that's what they do, is talk about it. So it's an evening with the artist and stuff like that is like totally what I love. So it's great. So, Maggie, sure.
Yeah, the comment that I wanted to make is I don't mind giving you feedback. If you want it, give it to you at a meeting. But I think one of the things that has made the Culture Arts Commission successful up to now is that there hasn't been a lot of council interference in terms of, this is my pet project and I want you to do it,
Oh.
if you know what I mean. So
I haven't had any
think,
of that.
I think what's important is that, you, this commission, you're the creators, you understand what your volunteer, basis is in terms of the people that you have that to volunteer for things. We can all come up here with a wish list, but I think you guys are really the control of destiny here. You're very, very sharp people, very brilliant individuals. A lot of you have a lot of experience, and I think just the fact that you just do what you do without the micromanaging, I think is probably why you're successful in your programming. You're going to find your way. You're on that journey, and to sit here and carve a path out and say this is what you have to do or should do, I think we just need to let you do what people in the creative field do, and that is create. And sometimes I taught creative students, so I have an understanding is that if you provide the structure, you destroy the creative process. And so you have to just let you guys create, and you'll create an agenda, and you'll find a market for activities. I think what's brilliant is the Quilt and Fiber Show. I'm already getting phone calls from people in Ann Arbor. So I think what you've done is you've created an opportunity for people downtown or down the street to
Hopefully.
begin taking a look at South Lyon and take a look at the Culture Arts Commission. And I have a feeling this is going to be a phenomenal success. This is just,
I'm excited.
I just, the
Yeah.
talk is just unbelievable. So I think you're doing a good job, and
Cool.
do what you do, create, and
Hopefully.
I
Okay.
think you're going to do just fine.
He's correct. Let the artists be artists.
Let
Okay,
it
I'm
be
out of here.
artists.
No, I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
I agree with that. I played piano since
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
6 years old, and kept it quiet a lot of times because people were always telling me what I should be doing and shouldn't be doing and playing it for them, and I really played for myself, And when I played for myself, I played my best, but when I had people kind of hanging over me and
Do
pushing me.
this. Oh, that's true.
So I think that's a very valid statement. Let
Well-
the artists be artists.
Well, the only reason I'm saying that is because I'm coming from experience. I taught economics to very, very brilliant art students, and you have to be around a creative community to understand that the creative community and the creative process is not like a structured attorney or a mathematician or an engineer. It's a very different process in terms of how learning takes place, how the creative process takes place. And, I don't know what else to say, is that
Okay.
I'm going to be a
All right,
hands-off
thank
kind
you.
of person.
Thank you.
Just do what you do and do it best.
Well-
It's obviously producing results.
Hopefully. I'm excited about the Cold Show. I don't know about you. All the shows, actually. So, and I just want to, again, thank Tammy Impuletti, Linda Robinson, Kelly Smith, oh my gosh, and Ken Mihalik. Good grief. Couldn't do anything without any of these people, so that's what I think. So, anyway, and thank you for listening to us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jolie. Fiscal year 16-17 first quarter budget amendment.
Just a quick one, we just wanted to add the windows for the South Lyon Area Rec Authority. It's that building on, is it 318 Westlake? We're gonna piggyback onto for your windows, right?
Apparently, yes.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, because we got another quote from Pullum to add on, and I think this was already approved by the council, we just needed to amend the budget to include that, so we're going to increase for $18,500.
I'll make the motion then that we approve the first quarter budget amendment as presented.
I'll second.
Discussion? I had some questions, and it could be that this is my first time going through this, but I just wanted some clarification. I looked at the general operation, fund operation, it's the 101-200, and I'm looking at item 974-100, and I'm looking at the rental properties. And then you have the proposed 216-217 budget amendment where you are amending it for 18.5.
Right.
But when I look at the original amount, when I look at the original.
Sorry, that was supposed to be in addition to.
Yeah, so now when I look at the original budget that was presented back in March, the rental properties had $500 already in that column. So if you're going to amend the budget, you need to amend it to 19,000.
Correct.
Because you already had 500 in,
Right.
okay, so that needs to be taken care of.
Yeah, I can correct that.
Then, for some reason, I have a note here on the next one, on the administration, on your proposed budget. It's the $1,290,460.
Right, that should probably go up to 960.
Yeah, because what you needed to do then
Right, the
is you need,
formula carries over from the administration.
so you need to add that back in. I mean,
Once I add it on the admin page, it'll carry
it'll
right on
carry it
over.
in?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to make sure
Yeah, the formula's
that
already in.
18.5 is going to carry over onto that. Then, when I went to the 101, the general fund revenues, I'm looking at the item 673 on fixed assets for 38,683.
673, let me get there. Right.
Okay, here's my question on this, and this may just be my naivety, is when you amend the budget, you can amend the budget for many purposes.
Sure.
Tonight, we're amending it because of an expenditure amendment. But you also have an amendment to the budget because now you've added 38,683.
Right.
Do you not also amend the budget when you have?
We did that in August.
That was done in August? Okay, all right, super. Then, when I take all the lines, when you take that line there, the 216, 217, and you add up all those bolded numbers there, I come up with a very different number on the 229, the 783. There's a $40,000 difference sitting in there somewhere. So maybe I can go over that with you after the meeting and not tie it up?
Yeah, tomorrow I'll be in the office. I'll be leaving here shortly.
Okay.
I believe that is probably something in the formula for the police miscellaneous up there. When Lynn added that into the original budget, I don't think it picked it up into the,
Yeah, so
they
something's,
probably added a line into the spreadsheet and didn't bother to check the
Yeah, so they're,
Right.
yeah, so there's some numbers off on that.
Probably, yeah, I can get in there and look.
So I'm not prepared to move to
Okay, well,
amend
we
the
can come
budget
back
just
next time.
Okay, but that's just me. I don't know what anybody else thinks.
Any other questions?
All right, so my motion was to approve the amendment for 18.5, which would take into account the purchase of the new windows at the Slar building, right?
It's according to her agenda note, it is supposed to be an increase of 18,500.
Okay. But the problem is now that,
So now that I'm looking at it, I don't know if it was supposed to be 18,000 even.
all right,
So we should probably wait until
I'm
next.
gonna withdraw my
Get
motion.
clarification from
and
Lynn on
then
that.
I'll move that we put this on the next meeting agenda.
I'll second, and yeah, and I think you're right, we need to.
We just need a little clarification,
Yeah.
that's all.
So all this is just clarifying.
Yeah, I can send her an email tomorrow, see what it is she really wanted to do, so.
Okay.
Okay,
Did you want to
we have to vote.
call me tomorrow to talk about
We'll
this?
vote
or-
on a new motion.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time, Lori.
Second.
We have a motion with a second. Table it to the next meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Consider requests from Glen Meadows for the city to accept dedication of water and sanitary sewer, utility improvements, and utility easements for the Glen Meadows development.
Mr. Mayor and council, I'll address this to start out with. We do have representatives from Glen Meadows here today. So this is the Glen Meadows request pursuant to the city's policy to accept the dedication of private utility systems. They have satisfied all of the policy requirements, and dealing with the city engineer and Bob, they've dealt with all the punch list items. There are as-built drawings. You've been provided with a resolution and the master deed and bylaw references that provide them with the authority to grant the warranty deed and the bill of sale. This is a slightly different in that these aren't easements. This is going to be a warranty deed of the roadway and all of the improvements that are within that roadway area. So it's a deed of the property. The city gets that free and clear. We've done a title search. And then the bill of sale is to transfer all of the utility pipes, all the other improvements, the road pavement, curbs, all that kind of stuff in the roadway. And everything looks to be in order. I don't know if you have any questions or if the association members want to make any comments. But Public Works, myself, and the engineer are in favor of an approval of this dedication.
John, it's just the one street with the 20 homes on it, right?
Two streets.
Two streets, that one going up a little bit?
One coming off Martindale, one coming off the back end of Dorchester.
Okay,
They actually flow into one another.
right,
Yeah.
okay.
Are they both called Glen Meadows Drive, Jeff? Pepper Drive, there you go. Okay. One house on Pepper Drive.
Yeah, my only comment is, and I said this last time when we dedicated Eagle Heights, the condos over there, that I think this is always a good thing when it's a win-win for everybody, the subdivision and the city. So, I mean, the residents are in a better position if there's some sort of an emergency or attention needed. Then we give our residents an opportunity to have our city-trained staff be readily available. So, I just wanted to just state publicly that I think this is really good, and whenever we can get these coming forward, I'm in favor of them. So, thank you.
If I may just make one quick comment on this. This subdivision was always meant to be a public utility, public subdivision, unlike some of our private ones that went through the dedication process. They still have to go through the process, and Tim did a wonderful job working with them on. But from the get-go, when that was designed back in the day by John Starcevich, the first developer, it was always meant to be a public neighborhood. Okay, so.
Okay, thank you.
Just, John, a point. Do we have to do two separate motions, one to accept the warranty deed and the bill of sale, and then the dedication, or can we do them both?
I put them all together. So there's a proposed motion to accept the warranty deed and bill of sale from Glen Meadows Association for the dedication of the real property, roads, water, sanitary, storm sewer, and other public improvements described therein, all located in Glen Meadows in accordance with and subject to the city's policy for the acceptance of these utilities and improvements.
Okay, I'll make that motion as presented then.
Maggie had a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just had a quick question, Bob. I know where this property is. It's a beautiful subdivision, absolutely gorgeous, and it came out just stunning. This subdivision connects into Norchester, and Norchester are streets that are dedicated to the city.
Correct.
And then the other end of the sub connects up to
Eagle Heights.
Eagle Heights, and those are also streets that are dedicated to the city. So here's my question. In the wintertime, if this does not, let's just say for some reason this does not get approved, then we have a situation where the city is snow plowing up to one part of your subdivision, has to stop, and then take the snow plow and go to Eagle Heights because you have this break in the middle. That's why it was, thank you, that's why it was designed to have the streets dedicated because it connected. So.
You're exactly right.
So.
Not only the snow, the weed, when they suck up the weeds, they have to stop.
They have to stop because the snow, yeah, because the leaf sweeper. Yeah, exactly. So it's, it's the way South Lyon did business in the past, but we're going to change that tonight.
All right, well then I'll make the motion to accept the warranty deed and the bill of sale and the dedication of the real property, roads, water, sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and other public improvements for the Glen Meadows Condominium Association.
I'll second that, Mike.
Just one comment. That's kind of a mischaracterization of the way the city used to do it. This was always the intention. So to say that suggests that the city was out of line in the way that we process this. It was always intended to come in. It was just a matter of you had to fulfill your obligation to get the place built and all that. So
We have a motion, we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Welcome to the new South Lyon.
Yep. Glad to see that this is still going on, that you're pursuing these.
So this is a point of clarification. If could that have been negotiated up front historically? Because this subdivision was built in 2000, correct? Or
Let me say something. This subdivision is exactly like Trotter's Point, Hidden Creek, Carriage Trace. It was always meant to be part of the city. It wasn't like a private development that all of a sudden decided to come in. And we've been anxious to get this in because it's tougher on my department when we have a subdivision in waiting when something comes up.
Right.
And the resident calls us saying, we got a problem. Can I go fix this? Do I got to try to get on the phone to the developer and try to get them out there and twist their arm? This is all good stuff.
Right.
So we're very, very happy about this, Joe.
yeah, no, and I was just surprised that
No, I know.
that it wasn't negotiated up front. But that's
It could have been. It could have been, but it wasn't.
well, these were asphalt streets and stuff, so they were going to end up being, depending on what phase, how long it took for this to be completed. If this had been like Knowles, where you had concrete streets, they're going to be robust. That right out of the time that these streets cured, they were able to be dedicated because all the underground was already in place and all that. That would have been fine, but they were paved streets, so you don't want to end up taking the burden of a 12-year-old street that's all cragging up and alligatoring and then accept the responsibility for it. So.
One last quick comment on, it's very tough when you have a subdivision with 2 and 3 phases, because the first phase is done, but then there's language about considerably complete, I'm sorry, that ain't the word, what's substantially. Yeah, so, all right.
well, I'm glad it's taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to the new South Lyon.
Okay, number 4 on the new, consider the first reading The ordinance to amend the City of South Lyon Code of Ordinances, Chapter 22, Businesses by amending Article 1 in general to Article 1, Business Registration, and adding Sections 22-1 through 22-5.
Mr. Mayor and Council, I'll address this one as well. So this is intended to be a very straightforward registration ordinance that requires businesses to register. Lynn and I talked about this, we did include a registration fee provision, which would really be set at 0. And this is envisioned to be a registration obligation by a business at the outset when they come into the community. And then it would be, the city can decide whether it wants to do an annual kind of phone call or check in with these people and update. There is an obligation to update if you change your address or ownership, that type of thing. The 22-3 provides basic information that would be included in a registration application. In addition, that would include, I think Lynn circulated the fire audit. Is that what it's called, Chief Kennedy?
It's just a preliminary for them, yeah.
So it's some information about the building from a fire hazard standpoint, and there's an application as well. So there can be more information requested, such as whether there's an alarm system on the building or things like that. And that's really, it's designed to be very straightforward, just so you have some basic information about businesses as they come into the community.
All the new stuff, as a business comes in, that makes this is an easy transition to attend to. But the timeline of registering within 5 days, how do you apply that to all the existing circumstances that are out there?
That's a good question. I'll have to look into that. I don't have any.
We're going to have to find some kind of softening of that obligation. It's not practical for City Hall to be able to address a line of people coming in to submit, whatever documents. So
yeah, I'll raise that with Lynn, but it may be that it's, I think the most practical thing is to start fresh. New businesses that come in, you'd have a registration, and maybe there's some effort by the city to try and fill in what are existing businesses.
Even a return mail kind of a thing, where we send the form to them, they mail it back, and
right.
We start there. So,
Mike.
There's a couple typos.
Yeah,
Township.
I apologize.
That's fine. And then the form, I think there needs to be a box for the email address, just so that we have that down so we can contact them. And then why are we, just out of curiosity, why are we requesting a driver's license number?
Is that on the form?
Yeah, it's on the form under residence address.
Yeah, I didn't look, I didn't provide any comments on the form itself.
I really don't.
That I think can be subject to, so the way this ordinance is set up is that the clerk is being responsible for this, and that form can be adjusted by the clerk administratively in any way that's needed.
Okay. If we're just trying to find out contact information and information regarding the business, I don't necessarily know if I don't really think we need a driver's license number, but that's just my personal opinion. So the registration fee would be 0?
That's what Lynn and I had talked about, was based on the fee schedule. This was meant to be a no-cost, low kind of burden on the outset of a business coming into town, so that you have some basic information that's needed for fire services, police services, building, and you kind of start a discussion with a business owner in this fashion.
All right, and this would apply to subleases as well? I know
Any
you can't
business.
register it.
Yeah, I don't know that it has anything to do with the arrangement for the tenancy, but it would be any new business coming into the community.
Okay.
Change of use stuff and all that stuff is really important, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, 2 comments on the ordinance itself, section 22-2A. The last word, it says such registration with the city clerk in the form and manner prescribed by such person rather than him. And on the form itself, the first page, it says physical address of the business in Muskegon. I think our latitude, longitude puts us in South Lyon.
Okay, sorry.
Details, schmetails.
I apologize for those.
I love the water, but
I'd like to have some.
we're kind of landlocked here in South Lyon.
I-
Thank you.
John?
Yes.
So I just want clarification on registration fee. I'm curious why it, if there's not going to be a fee, why there's 3 sentences dedicated to talking about that the fee will be 22-4, shall be established by resolution of the city council, shall cover the processing of a business's initial registration, annual verification, and any registration changes reported by a business.
Well, having looked at a few of these, and you have also, there's some, in your business chapter of your code of ordinances, there are a variety of different licensing requirements for different businesses. They have fees, and last meeting, Lynn went through and asked questions about whether these should be kept or changed and those types of things, in addition to a number of others. I think the idea here is if you felt that the city wanted to do an effort annually or every third year to update all of this, and there's an administrative cost with that would potentially, you might desire to offset that, this would provide you with an ability to simply pass a resolution with a change in the registration fee to generate a revenue to offset that administrative cost, rather than amend your ordinance to add the fee provision and give you that authority. So the idea here is to give you the authority and set the level at 0.
All right. That answers my question. Thank you.
There's a real implication there, though, that you want to end up having a revenue stream from this eventually that I'm not comfortable with.
Well, I'll make the motion then to consider the first reading of the ordinance to amend the City of South Lyon Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, section, by adding, what are we doing?
Chapter
Adding
22.
Sections 22-1 through 22-5 with the changes suggested today.
Second.
There's a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Order approval of the City of South Lyon hosting Cool Yule.
Lynn asked me, since she was out of town, to mention that this is basically a request to have this identified as a City of South Lyon event. As many other cities often host events, it's common. The real reason is that the event has activities outside of the downtown. The insurance comes from the city, not the DDA. And of course, the logistics by DPW. Bob does too good a job, so everybody wants Bob. And then looking into the possible grants for lighting the trees was brought up by the DDA, and so we are looking at grants to look at lights in the trees, in addition to the posts that already look great. And that's really all.
We need to get another key to give Santa because he took the other one to the North Pole.
Oh.
So, we had a big key. I think it's up in the North Pole right now.
Well, I don't see any downside to doing this. This makes perfect sense.
So does that mean you're going to be the point person, Bob?
I believe so, yes.
Or you haven't been told yet?
It's been implied, but yes, I mean, I believe so. It's primarily a downtown thing, and even though there are some activities outside, but yes, it only makes sense that I be the point person.
Will you still be working with the DDA?
Yes, because the DDA would like to have some involvement in it. They really haven't had the funds to do much with it. They did agree to step in last year, of course, to assist when the chamber gave it up. And I think to their credit, they did everything they could. Of course, the city's insurance came into play last year. so I'll coordinate. I have a feel for, I don't want to identify the person, but I'm pretty sure I have a grant that could at least fund perhaps some of the trees, not all the trees downtown.
Well, my
The
only
lights.
comment is that Rizzo made a commitment to be in our parade. I think specifically this one. So if you could make sure you reach out to them, please,
Yeah,
I'd
sure.
appreciate that.
Great.
And I think he said it would be a new truck without garbage, so I remember the conversation. It doesn't matter to me if it's not, I'm just recalling the conversation, so.
Great.
Well, I'll make the motion then that we approve the city acting as the event host for Cool Yule.
Second.
We have a motion with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Could I make one comment on this? We just approached the Witches Had Historical Commission, and I think it's time that we plant a tree as a city tree that grows each year and gets bigger and bigger, rather than putting a tree on a stand each year that gets tipped over and we stand it up and tipped over and stand it up. And so the area that I wanted to put this, and we could buy a really nice tree for about $300 to stick in the ground and they would be done. I didn't get much support on their half to put it where I thought it would be nice out in front of the depot. So rather it be this year or next year or the year after, I think the city should identify a spot for maybe a city Christmas tree that grows from the ground, and maybe one day this thing will be 40 feet tall and it'll be awesome.
But get a good size one in there to start instead of a small one, because we heard that too, you know, it'd be nice to have a, because we used to light them downtown.
Yes.
Are you gonna have to use Mike's aerial to be able to put bulbs and things on it?
Yeah.
Well, Bob, how does that work? Because I'm with you, and I think that'd be great. I'm curious with us being a tree city and we designate certain money,
Well, no, I mean.
we'd be able to take that money as well and count it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have the authority to say, dig this hole and we'll stick it right here. You know, I think we need a place that we can gather at on that tree lighting.
I think speaking to the ladies from Parks and Rec that were here earlier would
Yeah.
probably be a good start.
Well, I mean, the deal now is though, Santa stands on the porch of the Witches Hat Depot and lights the tree, and as we sing carols and stuff like that. So it's gotta be in some close proximity to that if we're gonna have 2,000, 3,000 people gather there. But with that said, I think it's a discussion that should be had going forward. That's all. Okay?
Good idea.
Mull it over like nice Christmas wine.
Is there such a thing?
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Bob. Okay, Bob, you're up again. Discussion of downtown.
All right, I handed out a report, and I've talked to a couple council members, and I think it's always good for me to give you a written report, because I think you can share pieces of that with people as well after the meeting. And I thank the council people for the suggestion. Quickly, I'll go through this for the benefit of the public. The hotel, it was confirmed that they will be removing the current building and building a completely new building. That was at a pre-development meeting in City Hall on September 14th. At that meeting, we had all related city staff, the city manager, the building official, building inspector, planning consultant, city engineering consultant, city fire chief, city DPW, water and sewer department director, and myself, the economic development and DDA director. And the hotel owners had all of their representatives except for a structural engineer. And we discussed all the aspects of a completely new building to replace the current building on the same site. The idea of possibly proceeding with the design build process was brought up. The idea was that for early phases of the project, if you want to call it that, would be completed before the winter weather sets in. However, the city manager made it clear that the design build concept would have to come to city council for approval first. And then for any scenario, be it that design build or the regular process, it was clear that the timeframes, professional licensing and certification for all the professionals, the architect and engineer would be required. Building and fire code requirements, the planning process and site plan approval requirements, the zoning requirements, the road commission for Oakland County and local right-of-way building setbacks. A site survey would be required, the building architectural plan requirements, engineering requirements, and all the processes, and a time frame. That was 2 weeks prior to this. There's an attachment there that Lynn and I met with the owners, and we established what we thought would be very much a best case scenario time frame, which didn't include the design build aspect. So I think it was a productive meeting. I think the building official and all the city staff handled themselves excellently, and I think the hotel owners know exactly the steps they need to take, and I think they were very pleased with the meeting. I think Bob and Chief Kennedy were there, and it was an important meeting, and we know where it stands, and now we move forward.
What's their timeline, Bob?
They would like to get the footings in the ground before Thanksgiving, and so get the building and engineering, site plan and planning, then the building and engineering plans approved so that they can get the footings in the ground before Thanksgiving.
It's pretty quick.
Aggressive.
Yeah.
It's very aggressive. I'll leave it at that.
So
Very necessary, though.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So do you know when they're going to start taking down the full structure?
They amended their demolition permit. And when they amended their demolition permit about 3 weeks ago, they said they would take it down within 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay. And I know this is their property, but have you heard anything about the bricks, if those will be available for the public, or if they'll be doing something along those lines?
No, I haven't. I know that Councilman Kivel came in and talked about the bricks. We're looking at companies that recycle.
Historic bricks.
Historic bricks.
Yeah.
And when I mentioned it to the contractor, he was not interested at all and felt it was really something he didn't want to do.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was approached initially about this from some residents that really have an interest in having a part of that. But again, I mean, I know it's private property, so if there's
I can bring it up again with Corey. I honestly haven't brought that up with Corey or the family. But I know the contractor was against it. But the owners, definitely I'll bring it up with the owners.
Thank you.
I mean, everybody, I guess I want to set the record straight a little bit. Everybody knows that Corey and me are very good friends, and we have been for a long time, and I've been trying extremely hard to keep completely out of the process and really not make any recommendations or anything whatsoever. We have talked about the bricks on and off, just because we thought there's been so many people asking, and there was people trying to steal bricks as soon as the fire was out. So, other than that, I've been trying to direct everybody to where they were supposed to go and just completely stay out of the process. I don't want to mess up a friendship of so many years and also get in the middle of making a decision on this kind of a position also that I think is not correct. So I think you guys are doing a great job. I think they have the awareness and they know what they need to do and what they don't need to do, and it's their choice, I guess,
I would say that apparently from the comments of the contractor, the bricks are available for anybody that wants them. I mean, that's the attitude that what was conveyed to me is they have no value to the contractor and that he is just throwing them away. That's why Glenn expressed asked me the question of, is there any company available in the metro area that would want to recycle them? And there are companies.
If you remember at the onset of this, the rehab of the building, when we were hoping that they might end up entertaining the idea of a full rehab, you have to use historic brick and things that, to be able to qualify for the nth degree of federal funding, and they weren't willing to go that way. But there are companies and there are people that own buildings that want that. And you just don't get to recreate historic brick. So that's why the idea of searching out these companies that specifically do harvest this kind of thing, and then they'll sell them, but it'll be going to projects that, for discerning projects. So that was the intent. Now, the idea of people being able to go on that site, I mean, they'd be crazy to absorb the liability of having people go in there with a hammer and start banging on this thing and,
Gotta have some kind of.
grab their own bricks. So,
Well, my thought is, yeah, certainly we don't want, it's a secure site and nobody trespassing. My thought is, I don't know if you necessarily have to hire a preservationist. Maybe the city can partner somewhere way with them and store them, these bricks, wherever, and make them available somehow. I don't know. We don't have to make this overcomplicated, is all I'm saying.
I'll look into it.
Yeah.
I'll talk to Corey.
the troubling part about that is that it was clearly their intention was to get this done as quickly as possible. And I understand wanting to move forward quickly. The problem was that this company would have afforded them dumpsters to be able to just take the brick, put it in the dumpsters, and they'll pull them away. So I didn't really see what the downside of them, except for, having to eat maybe another day or two of having to tear the place down. But
I know the one thing, Bob, is we talked about kind of whether they're interested or not. I mean, we talked about it right after the fire, kind of, about putting together some kind of a little historic memorial plaque or something out there, and maybe use some of that brick from the fire in that memorial little setup. I mean, if we could get something out of that, I mean, it's on their property and everything, but it is, it was 1 month away, 150 years. I mean, it'd be nice to have something to remember what it was and when that fire took place, and a little brief history there, and then maybe utilize some of those bricks that were in that fire for that memorial.
Bring it up. I'll talk to Corey.
The only comment that I'm going to make on this is I did have an opportunity to speak with two builders regarding the design build concept. And it was conveyed to me that it's generally used, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, it's generally used by government in terms of the government rebuilding areas of government property, or such as roads, such as bridges, such as government property that's been destroyed in hurricanes, predominantly tornadoes, where they need to get the buildings back up because of public service or things like that. That it is beginning to work its way into the private sector, but this is predominantly a public sector concept that's out there. The downside with it is the quickness in which, because there's an urgency that's been designed by the overriding governmental entity, there's an urgency in terms of getting the structure or the street or the bridge back up. So things tend to move on a very, very quick, fast track, and a lot of quality control is not necessarily built into the project. And quality control also includes what the project is going to look like. That they do not necessarily deal with the high-end architecture side of it, the concept and design part of it. It is designed to get up and get up fast. And that's the only thing that I'm going to say, is that I hope that we get some good quality architecture involved, and not just four walls. That's just my comment.
I have not been personally involved with one, but I know that John has forwarded a lot of information. I've been looking at a lot of information, and it is geared to more emergency situations, at least has in the past. I talked to Safe Built, the city's building official consultant, and they have worked on some. It is starting to eke into the commercial world because there is a perceived need to move fast at times, but that's a judgment call.
But they're typically done by a group that has the full breadth of understanding of what's going on there, the structural, the engineering, the plumbing, electric. The whole thing is run in one house, so everyone knows what the ultimate plan is going to be. So that complicates things. And there's a sense that this would end up have the potential, I should say, to lead to begging forgiveness rather than asking permission. So I don't think that we should entertain the idea of something like that at all. I think we need to be able to have full and complete approval process up front before something takes place, so that we can, run its regular course. So
That's not design and build. Design and build
I get that.
is designed
Right.
to get
right.
up quick.
The design build would
Design build,
counter to having all the information up
yeah,
front.
that
I
is
think that's
not
the
what
issue
design
that-
build is.
Well, I mean, they went through a lot. The last thing I want to do is make it
No,
difficult.
but I just want to make sure everybody understands
Yep.
that design build is, there are times, as one builder told me, he would not work on a design build project because there are times where you are literally designing while the building is getting built.
That's
So,
true.
Yeah.
And there was also, and you're correct, Maggie, there was I forget what project it was, I was gonna forward that out, a big project that took place out west, I don't remember what it was offhand, that the whole thing was held up because a couple of contractors that were working on the project and the people that were making the decisions, because they weren't all under one house, it was all coming from too many cooks in the kitchen in a sense. They ended up holding up the project and filed a lawsuit, and they really slowed down the entire project from being built longer than it would have been if they would have gone the regular route, but I can't remember offhand what that project was.
I think for council consideration, there are some communities that have dealt with footings to accommodate weather conditions, and other than footings, and that's totally going to be up to council to see that as some kind of a hybrid, somewhat remotely related to the design build, but some communities allow footings to be put in place to beat the weather. Other than that,
Well,
it's the
if
full
planning
details.
has vetted that they've met every obligation for setback and all that kind of stuff, I mean, that's a different
Comes
story.
after the
but
planning
It's
process.
always got to be after everything has completely been vetted.
Yep, that generally is always after the planning process, if there's still enough time, before the building.
To do anything otherwise, there's always been talk around here about the good old boy network, and to end up selling this short of complete and utter approval, that would be some version of the good old boy network in play.
Trying to shed that image, that's good.
What else you got, Bob?
I just hope we get a good product out of it.
I think we're on top of it, and I'm glad to see that council's interested in staying right involved, and obviously has to be involved if there's any alterations to the process.
I mean, the one thing I can say being that I do know Corey and I know Chris, and when I bought my house, just so people know, when I moved to South Lyon, our house was 100 years old. We bought our house. There was a family in South Lyon that owned the hotel and owned our home, and they sold our home and the hotel at the same time. So we had kind of a pseudo double closing, and that's how I met Paul Baker, and kind of came into the whole family a little bit. Never really knew Paul very well until the last few years before he passed away, but became very good friends with Corey. I can say that the Baker family and Corey Bala and everybody that owns those restaurants and those businesses and those bars are a big-time class act. And they are going to put something in there really well. The problem we're going to have is we don't know exactly how historic it's going to look when it comes back, and I really would love to see that too, but I don't know, I really don't. I've tried not to have that conversation with them, I've tried to kind of keep it more friendship and try to keep it more, you guys are the ones that are running this, and I don't want to be a monkey wrench out either side of the table, so I think they will do the right thing, their heart is in South Lyon. The hotel was Paul Baker's baby. So Chris is kind of carrying the ball, and so is Corey. So I would expect nothing but that same kind of quality to probably come back. So
All you can hope for is good design, If it's not historic, at least good design.
If I may, I can roll through. Any more questions on the hotel?
Keep it rolling.
All right, DDA board meeting, September 8th. You can expect a road closure request for the annual Kids Trick or Treat. That is a DDA event, and that will be coming to Chief Collins, the next few days for his approval, and then on your next agenda. There's also discussion of the annual Michigan Downtowns Conference in Traverse City, which will come up in just a minute here, a little more info. There was a lot of discussion about the Downtown Development Authority tax increment financing legislation in Lansing, and it appears that the action right now in this before the end of the year will be on transparency issues. It'll be next year where they go after the funds. And I think we've got a good advocacy and education effort. And the Michigan Downtown Association's lobbyists working with Michigan Municipal League, I think we're going to do well next year. There was discussion, a last thing for the DDA meeting, on a new event called Pink Tailgate Saturdays. And right now it's seen this year as an in-store promotion only to capitalize on the University of Michigan football game, home game traffic. And they wanted to experiment with trying to attract people in before and after the games. Perhaps next year, after establishing the brand this year, then next year maybe getting into a little deeper types of activities. But it would just be tested October 13th, or wait a minute, where do I have this? October 22nd, November 5th, and the 19th. Committee was formed, they met last week. We now have a graphics artist person that stepped forward. And the designated charity is National Breast Cancer Awareness Foundation. That's why it's called Pink Tailgate Saturdays. No road closures. The Main Street Oakland County application has been sent to Oakland County. We should get the formal feedback, I would hope, very soon. There's a copy of the application handed out tonight. Last week, we started the restaurant and retail market analysis with Oakland County staff here, and they should have that done in October. That will let us really get serious with a restaurant developer, and will certainly help us better attract retail. So that's exciting, and I think that is a free service of Oakland County, which saved this city $30,000 to $40,000, which is great. I am now in contact with businesses. Two small restaurants are very interested in coming in. It's really a matter that we don't have locations. Very aggressive cheese and wine shop operation. There's one other one in Oakland County. It started in Muskegon. There's still an aggressive wine bar and a bourbon bar that want to establish themselves here. There we go. We're working with two different property developers to assemble sites consistent with the new master plan for mixed-use development. I think it's no secret, Gene Carroll, DDA chair, would like to work with the Planning Commission this winter and then come to City Council as well because some of the design aspects of that project. It's very exciting. I think it'll be a catalyst for other blocks. And then just last week, we had a developer come in to look at a building in another parcel for a restaurant. So don't want to destroy the real estate value of that deal, so I won't say where it is. If you were to approach me one at a time, I might discuss it. Let's see here, rolling through. Working with 4 building owners on their facade rehab. Again, I've been receiving, the contractor was in last week, and unfortunately we could not meet with the Bonner family. There was a serious occurrence there. I will think maybe, John, if you wanted to mention what you're aware of with Lyon.
Well, I don't have a lot of real detail, but I know I met with Dennis Dubach yesterday, just talking to him about general stuff, and I asked him, point blank, because the rumors were flying around town about Lyon, and he had a very bad health incident take place. We're not exactly sure what it was. It might be an aneurysm, it might be a stroke, we don't know, but he was on a ventilator, so it just didn't sound good. Dennis didn't sound real super optimistic about what was going to be next, so I know the troubles we've had with him and everything and stuff, but it's like, you hate to hear those things. I mean, he's not such a bad guy, so I hate to. Yeah, but I don't really know a whole lot about other than it's a very serious family issue at the moment, and his wife is pretty ill also. So
I did have a phone call from the nephew that's been working with Leon, who the few times that I met face-to-face with Leon, the nephew was always there. And so the meeting with the contractor to go through their building was canceled. But I did leave a phone message back and said that, we're concerned for the family and understand, we'll wait. So I do have information, though, from painting contractors coming back later this week, hopefully by Friday, and we'll have that information, even though the contractor couldn't go in. So, and there's some more information, but I think we'll keep it with this current situation of the family. More information later on. A very interesting, regarding all the facade rehabs, Charlie Pullum of Pullum Windows asked me to come out and meet with him. And he's very serious that Charlie wants to, he said, at this point in my life, kind of a give back to the community's architectural heritage. Charlie really wants to offer a product. He said he will beat any price. He wants his custom windows into the building facade rehabs. And so I'll be working with the contractors to arrange a meeting with Charlie, and it's something he wants to do, which I think is really outstanding. The problem of having a lot of businesses coming in, a lot of activity, is that we don't have space. So I'm establishing relationships with building owners, and I think it's a chess game. It's a monopoly game, and so ideally, I think we'll be looking at relocating some service businesses, keeping them in the community. Certainly they're good businesses for the community, but finding another location so that in the core downtown, we can put retail that's looking for space. And the only way that's going to happen is with a relationship with the building owners. It's not happening with the realtors except for one realtor. So we're going to work it that way through the building owners, and we'll leave it at that. Real quick, a couple other items. I'm going to be attending and speaking at the annual Michigan Downtowns Conference in Traverse City. Something I'd like to see more DDA members eventually get involved with and go to. Carolyn? We're working on a way to so they can afford that. I'm now developing the criteria for the city and DDA certificates to recognize the businesses for their investment, major improvements, milestones, and other achievements. And I think it makes perfect sense for you to see the criteria so that we have something to gauge before we recognize people. A couple last items. Pumpkin Fest, I observed a large part of it. I was not there Saturday night, nor did I participate in the cleanup. I apologize for that. But I was there until about 2:30 Saturday afternoon and watched the setup Friday. And just an outstanding event. I'll tell you from my perspective, looking at community events around the county, that as a family event, there's none better anywhere in Oakland County. It really is an outstanding event. And that's just an incredible job that a lot of volunteers do. And a lot of, as you folks assist, and that man over there in the chair, Bob Martin, was everywhere. I was talking to him, and he spotted a small cup, like literally at the other side of the parking lot, and he ran over and picked up the cup and put it in the garbage can.
I thought there was money in it.
So, and then just a reminder, the last Lake Street Cruising Car Show is going to be this Wednesday night, a half an hour earlier. And then the last thing, which is very exciting, and I'll leave you with this. It's always good to leave on a very high note. And that is that the Channel 56 TV show Discover the D, which is a program of the Detroit Convention and Visitors Bureau, has agreed to highlight South Lyon for an entire 1/2 hour show on their Discover the D. And their film crew is going to be in town either the week of October 3rd or the October 10th. And they'll be filming all the retail and restaurants within the core downtown area. And of course, what makes it, to the camera for the final show. But I think many, many businesses will be featured, and it'll be exciting. And I think it's interesting because Cavalier Pictures, the DCVB's film crew, the head of that company lives in Salem Township. So he said that they would wait and get the right tree color and the downtown trees. He'll stay and make sure he gets that right, even after they film the businesses, so that the whole piece looks great. And I think we're fortunate, the dollar value of that show, if we went and approached any of the TV stations, including Channel 56, it would have cost us about $30,000 or $40,000. So that's if we had to pay for all the production costs and everything. But
That was the gentleman I met that day, wasn't it?
Peter Watt.
Right.
Right. I suggested to the city manager that if we paid the $400 fee to join, I had some connections there, which I'm never afraid to use. So really the cost of the city is zero, and I've known the film company for a long time.
Yeah, he was in the corner cafe, and he was bouncing off the walls in there. He was very, very excited, it seemed like, about.
I think it's going to be exciting.
Did he approach you, or did you approach them?
I approached them.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's nice.
It did cost the city $400 for the membership.
Small price.
So that's all. That's all I have.
Thanks, Bob.
Good.
Yeah, I had, 2 questions. How are you doing on the commercial rehab district? Is that getting defined? Are we?
For the tax abatement.
Yeah.
I've put out, I have collected a lot of information from other cities. I have not assembled that information yet. I intend to do that because I know that the project on Lake Street that involves 3 continuous buildings, the Lake Street Tavern and the Taekwondo building, that gentleman would like to seek some form of tax abatement as well. So I will have that very soon.
Do you have a timetable for that, or?
I had mentioned a month ago that would be 30 to 60 days, and I still hope to honor that. So I'm down to about a month from now.
About 30 days, yeah.
That's the draft that I'll have to present to Tim.
Because there's a woman at the state of Michigan, her name is Heather, and she's very, very familiar as to how these commercial rehab districts are put together. And there's 2 pieces of property that I wanted to bring to your attention. And these properties I dealt with when I was on the planning commission. On the True Value piece of property, they had a grain mill, and that was taken down. And the owners came in and presented this really great, little building that they were going to put up that was like a little replica of the grain mill, but it was very nice, very compatible with the structure that's already there. The problem is with cost, to rebuild. They did, I don't know where they are today, but in the past they have expressed an interest in participating in the commercial rehab district. So when you're ready to define the boundaries for that district, you may want to go in and talk to Sean and just see if there's still, if Pete's still interested in building that structure, and then make sure that that property also gets included in that commercial rehab, because if they're serious about it, it would be nice, because that corner is just so barren. I mean, they've got the bouncies up there, or they had them over the weekend, but it's a barren corner.
I think the way I'm looking at it, and many other cities have, is that there is no district, that it's citywide for buildings that qualify. Now, that's one thing I'm looking at. I haven't verified that, but that's
Yeah, the
that's
state
one approach.
requires
a district.
Yeah, the
Okay.
state requires
All
a
right.
district contiguous
Then the
properties.
district would have to go beyond the DDA in
It
order
can.
to get that.
You can define the district any way you want.
That's right.
But, and then there's Pullum Windows. Pullum Windows, and Bob, you might know a little bit about this. Pullum Windows came to the planning commission, I don't know, 2 years ago, whatever, and he was looking at redoing the whole front of his store. Absolutely phenomenal design. And what he was doing is he was using his custom windows and putting it and providing a brand new look to the outside of the building. And I think all of us on the planning commission were just ecstatic about it, because when you come over that railroad track, the first thing you see is, Pullum window right there, and it would be nice to see something, that's not so reminiscent of the old South Lyon, but maybe, of the transition of South Lyon, and how they're moving forward with a little bit more of an upscale facade and not, what you have down there now. My understanding with that, I could be wrong, was after the fire, there may have been some additional costs to putting in some water lines or something back there, and that may have, he may have had to readjust his thinking. So that would be another piece of property that I would ask that you go down and speak to the gentleman down there.
Sure.
And see if he would like to be included, because I'm telling you, his facade was just outstanding. And it would be wonderful to have that new look in downtown, so.
I think what, I've not dealt personally with a commercial rehab project. That's why assembling information and working with Tim. But a question I have is that it appears now that both the tax abatement programs for commercial are tied to rehab. Now, Pullman Window could make a case for that. I don't know about a new building, but I will look into it.
You know what I will do is, I will go through my notes and I will get Heather's phone number so that you can call
Sure,
her
that'd be
directly. And
Thank you.
that may be a little bit more efficient for you.
Great.
And then the last thing I had with the downtown, and I think this is a good thing, and so I want to approach it diplomatically. But I think what's beginning to happen is that individuals in the downtown area are beginning to feel change. You know, they haven't felt change before, and I think they're beginning to feel that there's something new that's coming. I think there's an excitement that hasn't been there for decades, and people are beginning to take a look at the downtown, and it's becoming a critical eye. So, and I think that is part of the transition of the downtown. And the business owners are going to have to get used to the fact that there is going to be a critical eye now that is going to start having some say or whatever, and that critical eye has surfaced. And the issue has been with the Bud Light blue signs in the draft house. That
was on Tom Lyon's list
Yeah.
before he retired.
So is there any way for somebody to follow and maybe work with the owner and put in some creative windowing or?
I just talked about that today with
Yeah.
Safe Build is taking on temporarily Tom Lyon's job responsibilities, and I talked to the code enforcement person today.
Okay.
In fact, it was clear that by law, they have to give notice. They can't just go in and issue a ticket. They have to give notice, one written notice, and have a discussion and then follow. And they have to be given a period of time to remove the situation.
You know, I haven't heard anything negative about the place. I mean, nice crowd, nice people, everything nice, except that the look on the outside, you know. And I think, you know, at the time these comments were made, there was somebody coming out of the liquor store with a bottle with paper bag and standing in front of the blue Bud Light signs.
There are 4 buildings that seem to not understand what 25% of the window space is. We're looking at all those buildings.
Okay, thank you.
So Bob, has there been any more comment about the truck and the lights issue that we were having looked at?
I'm lost on that one. The truck and the
route.
lights.
Truck routes.
Oh, the trucks. TIA apologized. Their report was supposed to be due 2 weeks ago. They're not quite done with it. The idea was eliminating, not creating a truck route, but eliminating truck turns from any direction at Lake and Lafayette. And HRC, the city's engineer, was working a little bit with TIA, Traffic Improvement Association, on that, and are aware that the recommendations to route all traffic using Reynolds Street has one issue. One of the 4 corners has a radius problem, and the radius couldn't just be done by the Department of Public Works because one of the poles that holds the streetlights. And so the cost estimates from HRC are anywhere from $200,000 to $400,000. So that have to be worked into the city's in the priority list for the city's capital improvements program. So it's not going to be the easy, quick fix that it could have been if that one turning radius of
But
the
the
4.
one good thing, the caveat that came out of that was what we were talking, while you were meeting with them, they saw firsthand.
Oh, TIA saw one of the
firsthand
worst
the truck.
offenses of all
Yeah,
time.
one of the worst
It was
ones
a
take place.
fateful,
3 or 4
perfect timing.
lights took place, the truck couldn't make the turn, cars had to all back up, and they were sitting there watching, and they couldn't believe it themselves, you know, so that's what we've been trying to do, is get them here, and Bob finally got them out to come out.
I have I've been keeping, I always fly out of my chair at the coffee shop and take pictures. I've got quite a library going.
So at least we got that part of it, you know, so at least I saw it. Now, you know, it's not just saying we don't want them there, you know, I mean, they physically saw what was taking place and they were kind of like, wow, this isn't good. So.
I think, Chief Collins was there at our meeting with TIA at the coffee shop. And I think, in addition to finding the route, I mean, the report's going to recommend signage, and I think signage is going to be something that the council and the planning commission, primarily council, are going to want to look at, because it'll require quite a bit of new signage.
I have something. Just an observation I've made. I've been speaking to a lot of residents, and they're actually more newer residents, and they're specifically moving downtown. And many people, at least in a couple of weeks, 4 or 5 people I've spoken to, and it seems like they've lived here 2 or 3 years at the most. And yeah, they're looking for these types of changes of doing things different ways and seeing all this keep on moving forward. So I know there's a demand for it, and a lot of residents want it, and that's what I want to thank you for pushing this stuff, especially the new windows, that sort of things, maintaining just making things nice. And it sounds like that's what a lot of people want, and that's what they're looking for, is this kind of change. So thank you for that. Wanted to bring that to attention. Also, I did want to ask you about something unrelated, though, to what I just mentioned. But John, you mentioned that we're missing a key. Speaking of key,
Santa's key.
Santa's key. Yeah, he
or
still,
whoever we give it
he
to,
still has it at the North Pole. It would be nice to also give a key to Ed Brown. It's my personal opinion. So.
An award type.
Yeah, and that's
Key
kind
to
of
the
why
city?
I brought it up too, because it was like that we talked about that the other day.
Yeah.
And
Well, not even an award, just the key.
Yeah.
And because his
A
last.
key as a presentation.
Yep.
All right, I've
the key
been
I
involved
had
with
that
that in
gave
other
Santa
communities.
was like that. I mean, and it's been there a long time, but sometimes when we give it away, it tends to not come back, I guess. So.
Cracker on it.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, okay. I don't know how
Or we
much
get-
they
we
are,
have
but
numerous
I
keys
could
that they
present-
not get back, I guess.
Are we talking a plaque?
no.
The key? An actual key?
Well, yeah, an actual key to the
Okay.
city.
Do
And
you want a draft, a resolution with that?
I mean, John, you would be the
Yeah,
call with that. I would
think
not
so.
be
He's a
opposed.
long-time business owner, been
Probably need a
here,
resolution.
a lot to
Yeah.
the city.
I could work on a draft and run that through Tim and the Lynn Ladner.
Yeah, because
Anybody would have, I don't think anybody would have an issue. No.
his last day is what, the 8th? So
Yeah.
this would be perfect timing right after,
Okay.
or right before, in fact. No, it'd be after. I apologize.
The
Yep.
idea is a large key.
I guess I don't know what I mean, that key's been hanging in that mayor's office, and it was like, so when I gave it to Santa and I didn't ask for it back, I wasn't expecting that.
You mean Santa has it?
He's got it to the North
Oh,
Pole.
I thought you meant it was lost.
But I don't know what the policy is. I don't know, we've
I
been
think
giving
Chief
out many
better
of them in the
visit
years,
Santa.
I'm
Santa
sure.
ripped off the
I
key.
mean, it sounds kind of funny, but I don't know what you do. Do we have a bunch of keys? I don't know.
I would think
I
Ed
mean,
did a full-time key. That's,
You don't want to
Santa
ask
stole
for
our
it
key.
back.
but Santa, I mean, that's he comes back every year.
That's got a lot of really good promotional
You know what I mean?
potential. Santa took the key. Maybe Chief should arrest Santa.
For the record, the chief will not be arresting Santa.
I heard he lives in Green Oak as well. So.
No miracle on 34th Street. Okay.
Like in Lafayette.
All right. So I will look into a key for presentation.
Yes. For, just to be clear, for full-time to keep, not return.
Right. Yeah. A key for presentation to keep. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. That was all I had for the downtown.
Good stuff, Bob. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lynn's not here, so manager's report, and I did not appoint anybody. I wasn't sure whether Lynn was coming back or not. She gave me a phone call earlier today that I couldn't take. I got the message when I was in a meeting. And I just kind of basically said I left it up to her to decide whether to come back or not based on the tragic event that took place over the weekend. And I don't know whether she called you or didn't know, so I don't have.
No, she didn't call.
She talked about coming back possibly, so I didn't get a chance to talk to her.
She did indicate that by email, but I did not speak with her.
So council comments, let's start with Maggie.
Yes, thank you very much. I've been asked by Andrea Meyer, she is the Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce, to just read a little bit of a letter that she has issued to City Council. And I think what it is she just sort of wants the public to sort of have a little bit of a background and just a little bit of knowledge as to some changes that are occurring over at the Chamber. So I'm just going to read parts of it. I'm not going to read the whole letter. I know people want to probably go home and watch the #1 rated event in the world. While we will be moving out of the immediate downtown area, I just wanted to assure council that the board and I are very dedicated to all of the communities that we serve. While the chamber office itself will not be located in the city of South Lyon, this in no way detracts from the passion and the determination that the board and I feel for the city of South Lyon. Several of our board members are downtown business owners as well. Currently, our 2016 board is made up of individuals representing Lyon Township, Salem, and South Lyon. As you may or may not be aware, your local chamber provides support, networking, and growth opportunities for businesses located in Green Oak Township, in Northfield Township, Lyon Township, Salem Township, and the city of South Lyon. The current chamber roster boasts businesses throughout each of these communities, as well as businesses outside of our area who wish to benefit from the networking and marketing that the chamber offers. It is our members' dynamic interaction and networking that is creating such a vibrant buzz throughout our beautiful communities. I believe that the chamber has begun to serve as a bridge for building healthy and sustainable relationships between businesses and individuals throughout these different communities. I will continue to pass along interested business owners who are looking for a new space. As always, I will continue to be in downtown South Lyon area and available to the local South Lyon business owners that I personally have come to know and love. Further, as long as you will have us, we will continue to host Blues, Brews, and Brats Festival in the Whipple Street location, and I look forward to coordinating the Pumpkin Fest Scarecrow Contest each fall. I consider myself blessed to work with the business owners, the local police, and the fire departments, and all of you. I look forward to seeing you around town. And I would like to say kudos to the chamber. They are making a very, very smart business decision. They are moving to Lyon Township. They have about 3 to 4 times the amount of space, and their offices will be far more compatible with the expansion that they are now experiencing in their membership. Also, they are doing tremendous membership and programming. They need additional space in which to host a lot of the events. And the chamber, by the way, is getting businesses now from Novi and from Brighton that are beginning to actually join this particular chamber. So I want to say congratulations to the chamber. You've made a great decision. I think all of us are really, really excited and can hardly wait for your ribbon cutting coming up in the fall. Last, I just want to make a comment about Pumpkin Fest, and I want to thank Kathy and the board of directors over at Pumpkin Fest for deciding to keep Pumpkin Fest here in South Lyon. This is where it belongs. I just had a fabulous time over the weekend, and the people that I was with, we actually called it a hug fest. I ran into so many people that I had not seen in a while, and I would like to pass off to Pumpkin Fest maybe a different way of looking at this event. Pumpkin Fest is not, to me, at my age, about the bouncies or anything else, the vendors. The vendors are fabulous and great. But actually, for me, it was an opportunity to reacquaint some friendships with people I had not seen in maybe 6 or 7 months. Friends of mine that came in from Lyon Township, friends of mine that came in from other areas, and it just seemed like the whole weekend I was hugging friends and saying hello and saying goodbye, and it was more of an opportunity to get back to maybe the old-fashioned way that we sort of associated and socialized with people. We did it face-to-face. We sat down, we took the time to say, how are you doing and how is your life? We put the phones down, and when we got done talking, we gave each other a hug, and we said, we'll see you next year at Pumpkin Fest. So that's why I called it Hug Fest. I probably gave out more hugs than I got, but, that's what it was all about. So Kathy Swan and the board of directors, thank you for giving me some incredible memories this year They were memories of friendship, and I want to thank you for that and keeping Pumpkin Fest here in South Lyon. So good night, everyone. Have a great week, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks. Thank you.
I'm going to personally thank the committee, the Pumpkin Fest committee, for keeping it here in South Lyon. Obviously, it was a great weekend. Thank you, Mother Nature. The weather was perfect. I was there both Saturday and Sunday. Fortunately, I spent a little bit too much time there Saturday night. But I think 3/4 of my subdivision was at Pumpkin Fest Saturday night. It was fantastic, and I really appreciate the efforts the Pumpkin Fest committee went through. I don't think there was any issues that were any major issues. I think it went off well. Thank you for all the volunteers. I know they had tremendous volunteer support this year, which made their jobs a heck of a lot easier. And I hope it continues in the future, because the more people that volunteer, the easier it is to run that kind of event. It was packed both days, and I appreciate everybody for coming to the Pumpkin Fest. It was just a fantastic weekend in South Lyon with with Brown's Root Beer. It was just everywhere. There were people in downtown South Lyon. I wish we could do that every weekend, just to bring all those people downtown. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Just a brief comment about Pumpkin Fest, and I too wanted to just thank the volunteers for, you don't put on an event like that without a lot of people volunteering a lot of time, and it's appreciated. So thank you. That's all I have.
Same thing, one of the best ones in a while, I think. It came together very, very well. I'm so glad that it stayed. The buzz was in the air, as Maggie was alluding to earlier. The people that were bumping into people at the tent and bumping into people downtown that were specifically the same couple that I saw. I was at Third Monk there earlier, and then I went into the tent, ran into them again, and they told me they brought their kids from Warren, the bouncy toy, the bouncy stuff, and then the dogs jumping, and they bring it back. They said they're bringing their neighborhood back next time. So they didn't even know it even existed until this year, and so yeah, they were super excited. The buzz was in the air. The stores were busy. Everybody seemed to be happy. No complaints. I talked to quite a few people. In my observation, it just seemed a very, very nice event. And for me, it was a crazy weekend. I mean, it was like, I got asked, I have to say thank you to Coach Joe Pecci from South Lyon East High School, who called me up and asked me if I wanted to be the honorary manager, I guess, for the night. Gave me a jersey, got to do the coin toss, got to be on the sidelines with the guys, went in the locker room with the players. It was very, very nice meeting everybody there. I got announced from the city of South Lyon, so that was kind of cool too. So then you go from that to a parade where I walked with I didn't want to be in a car, so I'm kind of a fit guy a little bit, so I walked with the senior center walking club. And I want to do a little shout out to Sally, because Sally walked with a walker all the way from where the floats all started, and she made it all the way to the coffee shop before she finally stopped. So quite the inspiration. And walking that event, looking at all our future that's coming this way, from this perspective, instead of standing on the sides and looking at the parade, looking at what's coming, what we're seeing is thousands of kids. I mean, it's overwhelming how many there is. So if people are saying, we stopped the growth or whatever, it's too late. They're already here, so we got to do the best we can to make it good for everybody. And one thing on the Pumpkin Fest, I'd like to move the dunk tank closer to town instead of being where it was at. I mean, I got dunked 62 times. I know Joe would like to get dunked a lot more too. So if we were a little bit closer, I might have been over 100 times, and he would have probably had a lot more too. So other than that, thank you, and good night, everybody.
I had some comments on Pumpkin Fest, but I'll leave that till to the end of my comments. Just have a few things I want to touch on briefly. For the Matty Doty Field, I attended just want to give a brief update. I attended the last Parks and Recreation meeting, and Mr. Michael Moore, who was helping with the project and kind of spearheading it, he met with the Parks and Rec and gave a complete design, complete layout, everything that they were looking for, and it was a very productive meeting. In fact, Parks and Rec gave a suggestion of a different type of bench that they could use, and Michael got on board, and now it's all ironed out. And basically, the next meeting, he's going to be coming for final approval of the site. So very productive. So I want to thank Erica Wilson from the Parks and Rec Commission for being so accommodating and working with Mr. Michael Moore in this very valiant project. Also, wanted to give thanks to the landlord of where the future Home of Salvation Army is. I was over there on Saturday morning picking up some friends for the parade, and I saw that they were working on the parking lot, resurfacing it, blacktopping it. So that's very good to always see our business owners and landlords taking care of their property. So I wanted to commend them for that. The Brown celebration was just tremendous. It was so nice to see so many friends. They took a picture of the past employees and the present employees, and it was just a big reunion, and it was tremendous. Seeing the dancing and the singing, and it was exactly what embodies our community. So I was very happy to see Brown's celebration, and I wish him all the best. And I'm sure everybody in this table feels the same way. Next, I wanted to talk about Dorothy Street. I had an opportunity to speak to the residents on Dorothy Street, check out the new paving and the work that was done. There's grass popping up, and the general feedback I got, Bob, was that they're very happy with that the project's complete, and they're happy with the DPW, and they're happy to see that grass is finally sprouting. So I spoke to all the homeowners down there, and they were very happy. So thank you. Good job to DPW. Last, I will talk about Pumpkin Fest, and as John alluded to, I was in the dunk tank. John was in after me, and I saw John, backing up. I think he might have been mad at me, and I say this in the best intentions, that I gave him a little hard time for canceling the December 28th city council meeting due to the weather. So he showed up with, this may have been payback is what I'm getting at, because he showed up with an arm length full of tickets when it's 2 tickets for 3 throws. So he was determined to get me dunked.
Second throw got him, though.
He did. And John did, he did. But in all seriousness, it was fun, and it just kind of reminded me of, and reminded everybody of what the intentions of Pumpkin Fest was. And one of the things that I think gets overlooked is that there are so many charities out there that are benefiting. And in this particular instance, it was the Girl Scouts, and they were trying to go to Europe, and I believe I heard a figure that they need to raise $40,000. Quite a feat. But they're determined to do it, and I'm confident that they're determined that they're going to get it. So the thousands of dollars that's raised by the Pumpkin Fest event for these charities is just, that's really one of the big pieces of the puzzle of the whole event and whole community. So and I echo John's sentiments. It would be nice to move it down, and I'm sure that would be maybe considered next year. So with that.
Seems like it was at one time. At one time, it was closer downtown. And then they moved it over near Norm's, and then now it's down there, but it's okay. Everybody did come down there, but it's like kind of off the beaten path, a little bit. So.
And one other final thing, just now I think about it, there's some of the feedback that somebody gave me was, and this is big picture, I don't even know what the legalities is, but suggestion was perhaps maybe having fireworks off in McCaddy Park. I don't know, I'm kind of looking at you, Bob. Convey that to the, I'm thinking big grand scheme, so eventually that would be nice. That's it.
Like a Ford Field type thing.
Does the community do fireworks?
No.
No.
I don't know if it's even allowed. I don't know. It was just passing along some information I was told, so I don't know. That was it. With that, thank you, everybody. Good night, and have a nice week.
My comments were just about Pumpkin Fest. I missed it on Saturday. I had my best friend's wedding, but I did come back from a wedding on Friday night. I drove all the way back from Jackson to be a part of Pumpkin Fest on Friday night because it's such a tradition. Friday night, everything was well done. It was outstanding, well put together. So again, thank you to the Pumpkin Fest committee. And on Sunday, I actually, coming back from Jackson again, made the trek, and it was just wall-to-wall people, good stuff. And the coolest thing I thought about it was our young talent in South Lyon. Walking up and down the streets, you could hear like the karaoke that was going on. There was one young lady who was singing renditions of My Fair Lady, and she was just incredible. And I'm thinking to myself, South Lyon has so much young talent. It's truly incredible. So that's just another thing that Pumpkin Fest is bringing out the best of everyone. So their talents, good to see people again. So again, thank you to Pumpkin Fest Committee. It's an outstanding festival we are truly fortunate to have in South Lyon. Thank you.
Just a little departure from Pumpkin Fest for a second. This past Thursday was the Planning Commission meeting. No agenda on the website, no mention of it. As a matter of fact, the most recent agenda is from, July 28th of 16, and the most recent minutes are from March 10th of 16th. So I think we really need to kind of pick up our game there. People shouldn't have to drive all the way to City Hall to look at what the board says the agenda is. So, okay, now on to Pumpkin Fest. Boy, the parade was just, when you look down from downtown all the way south, and you realize that you're an hour into it and you're just finally starting to see some of the emergency vehicle lights are at the intersection down there. So you're thinking, well, there's going to be an awful lot of dance routines going on between them and where you're standing. So that was terrific. The volunteers are obviously just stellar. They're top notch to step up and assist in something as cool as that. And we had the benefit of just catching some outstanding weather for an event like that. So it was a whole weekend between Pumpkin Fest and what was going on over at Ed Brown's, a whole terrific weekend of good weather, good friends, and good music. So thanks again to the volunteers, and good night.
I want to say one thing before we go. I didn't bring up any information about the tragic event because I'm trying to make sure and be dedicated to his family, more understand what's going on. When more details come out, I think everybody be more willing to talk more about it. And I just wanted to give him the space and give them the opportunity to grieve under their own circumstances. And not everybody needs to know all that right at the moment, I guess. So.
Right. Some of the information's not confirmed.
Right.
And I'm sure the family would appreciate their privacy.
So with that, thank everybody for coming.
I'll move that we adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.